hold up. Why are AAA games getting worse? So the Ackman finally made a video about AAA games, and I don't, man. You know what's crazy? There's nothing like fully related to this fully, but man, nobody's happy anymore when a new game comes out. It seems there's always a problem or controversy with a game. It feels like, right? Like Stellar Blade came out, right? People say it's false advertisement, right? Well, technically it was because some things are gonna be uncensored, and they end up censoring it, technically. And people are fighting against that right now, right? Like, and then Skull and Bones, right? How people say it was a quadruple A game, right? Now it was a complete garbage game. I don't know. I just feel like, and then like Suicide Squad, complete garbage game. What is a game that people were actually like majority were happy with, in a recent time in a AAA game? I'm trying to think right now. What was in a recent, like maybe Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? For majority of people were happy with it. Maybe. No. I think it was split. I think Rebirth was split. I enjoyed it a lot, but I think people were split on it because people say it was a lot of mini games and stuff like that. So I could see that too as well. I'm trying to think. It's what game that recently was released and people were like, hell no. I don't know. Let's just watch this video.
Wow, this new Star Wars Outlaws game looks pretty great.
That's pretty good.
You know what? Let's check out
the Star Wars pricing. Oh my god.
About the good lord, what is happening in there? Pre-order. Get 3 days early access. Pre-order. You want to pre-order the season's pass? And get 3 days early access. Pre-order. That's four pre-orders on one screen. Extend K's journey with two upcoming DLCs.
Forget about the Star Wars game.
The exclusive Jabba's Fuckhouse. Pre-order. Unlock exclusive cosmetic. Pre-order. Are you fucking pre-ordering yet? You know what's funny? If you go to the Arrowhead Games website and just look at it, there's something special about an Arrowhead game. Games should challenge the creativity of the individuals who play them. We want our games to help forge friendships. And look at that. Not even an advertisement for the Super Citizen Edition. I think this is a great way to
illustrate actually
what AAA
awesome
gaming has
marketing
become and what indie gaming has evolved into. The difference in priorities is clear, and you might assume, Actman, that's just typical Ubisoft greed and shenanigans. But you're wrong. It's worse than that. What Ubisoft is doing with Star Wars Outlaws is symptomatic of a much greater issue plaguing all of AAA gaming. Recently, Ubisoft dropped a story trailer for Outlaws. I watched it, and I felt apathy. As you know,
apathy is death.
The gameplay reveal for Outlaws looked solid, but now I'm skeptical. Maybe it was the boring writing, the generic presentation, or the fact that they're directing people towards the $120 version of the game instead of the standard version.
Hello, I like money.
Still, I don't remember the line.
Well, to be fair, it's just a ploy for people to subscribe to their whatever subscription thing is, like the $18 one, because it's gonna be releasing their streaming, whatever you want to call it, pass. What I don't know if you want to call it. Ubisoft Pass, I don't know.
This time, I felt indifferent to a new Star Wars game. On the flip side, one of my buddies sent me a trailer for a game called Kingmakers. I've never heard of this franchise nor the studio behind it, but let's check it out. What the fuck is this? Oh my god!
What the hell?
It's a fucking Chevy truck in the... Oh, we're giving shotguns? How can the engine handle this many guys on screen? This is like Mountain Blade plus Dynasty Warriors with time travel? Oh, grenades? Oh my god, and they have RTS mechanics? No shot. It can't get any crazy. And helicopters too? Here's the question of the day. Why, as a huge Star Wars fan, am I more excited for this and not this? Well, the answer is obvious. It's Ubisoft. But like I said, AAA gaming has been in decline.
I remember when I was super excited for Ubisoft games.
Indie games have become a spawning pool for creativity and imagination.
It's simple too.
The plethora of AAA gaming is dead. Videos spring up.
Yeah, I mean, and also for the most part, when you play an indie game, it's pretty much what you get the full package for the most part, right? And then when they release the DLC, it's like rarely like good pricing. Even sometimes they even release it for free. It's so simple. You don't have to like buy or pre-order a game in order to get some like missions or packs, whatever. You just buy the game, you play it, and then you move on. That's pretty much it. Yo, what up, Italian Pickle? How's it going? What is a AAA game that you're excited about, but the pricing was just either like, nope, I'm good, I'm moving on, or they announced it, but then you realize the gameplay was like on the release day, the gameplay was not up to par where you thought it was gonna be. Because we're watching a video about why AAA games are getting worse and like how they're being released and not even completed at all. And it's just I don't know, man. It's just insane right now with gaming
on YouTube. Well, AAA gaming didn't just die; it was murdered.
Oh my god.
If you got that reference, welcome back to 2017 YouTube. Clearly, I'm not the only one who has felt disillusioned and apathetic towards recent AAA titles. But a lot of people focus on how AAA games have gotten worse. They highlight the obvious: excessive monetization, unfinished products being released. I can't masturbate to this character. And while these are all issues worth pointing out, we need to understand why these things are happening. The bigger picture. You see, the reality is AAA games have become far too safe, formulaic, predictable, and just unexciting. Perhaps it's because you're an old, jaded nerd, Actman. No, that couldn't possibly be it.
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
That's what we're going to explore today. The decline of AAA gaming and the rise of indie. Why has AAA gaming gotten so bad? Now, first off, what the fuck does AAA actually mean? The Advanced Aardvark Association? Because I'd love to join that club. No, instead you should join my public Discord server, the Act Clan. Links in the pinned comment and in the little card up here. But the acronym originally referred to large budget, high profile games developed by reputable studios released by major publishers. You know,
mainstream.
Halo, Call of Duty, Warcraft, The Witcher, 50 Cent Bulletproof, Cory in the House. Games that would shake the very foundation of the world. AAA games typically have large teams, expensive marketing campaigns, and copious amounts of funding. The term was taken from the credit industry and applied to gaming once the severely obese corporate fat cats realized video games weren't a joke of a business and could actually make more money than Hollywood. For business moguls, AAA meant this is the safest investment you can make to get a return. That's not the case anymore. Today, AAA mostly indicates the aspirations and cost of a game, not how safe an investment it is. From the 80s to the 2000s, there weren't many games that were commercial failures. It was mostly like failed consoles. And that's a good video to watch. But since the 2010s, as AAA gaming budgets have grown exponentially, we've seen some big-ass flops. Marvel's Avengers, Suicide Squad, Anthem, Redfall, Alien.
Yeah, so I actually played Avengers from Square Enix. I actually did play it. I thought it was fun. I didn't think that was the greatest game ever, but I thought it was fun. But yeah, I do understand why that game fell off quickly. And also I played it for like, I think I got it for like $5-10, and it came with all the DLC and everything too. So it's like, I think that's why, because I had a good chunk of like good content of it, and characters and stuff like that, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and it's because I had the PS5 version. But yeah, the gameplay, it was fun while it lasted in some ways with certain like characters and heroes and stuff. But yeah, I can see why that fell off. And then the Suicide Squad live service, goddamn. Suicide Squad, goddamn, dude. Super excited when that was announced. Then I saw the gameplay and it broke my heart. And also because, guys, Batman Arkham is my favorite game of all time. The Arkham City especially. It's my favorite series of all time. It's my number one. But damn, dude. God damn. I did Kim Ferris one. How's it going? We're talking about AAA games right now. We're watching why our AAA games are getting worse. So I asked you guys that question if you guys want to answer. Why do you guys think that AAA games are getting lazier and worse? Yo, what up, Tripling 2000? How's it going? And also, what we're working on today, guys, on art-wise, we're working on promo art for my first art of my comic book, which is based on dinosaurs and Aztec/Mayan culture. So in the first one, we added a dinosaur, him sitting down in a dinosaur art with some pterodactyls, carrying a doodle. And this one right here is my my main character, riding a Mayan god. All right, so let's begin the video again, and let's finish this up.
Aliens, colonial marines, and in the last 7 or so years, it also seems like many popular franchises have released what fans consider to be the worst entry in said franchise. Fallout 76, Battlefield 2042, Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh my
Maybe
god.
This is all just a coincidence.
But as one trained in the Force, you know that true coincidences are rare.
So what gives? Why have things changed? Well, one of the driving factors behind the decline of AAA games is they've gotten too big. The pants do not fit anymore. For reference, vanilla World of Warcraft was made by a team of about 40 people. Helldivers 2 was made by a team of 100.
Get my camera.
Over 9,000 people contributed to Diablo 4.
What, 9,000?
Starfield, 7 years in development. $200 million budget.
That's crazy, dude.
1,700 planets to explore. Todd, you think maybe we could tone
Better?
that number of planets down to like 30? Or maybe 10? 10 really good planets? The gamers desire 17.
Bro, Starfield fell off so hard fast. Starfield fell off so hard, so quickly. It's insane. Insane, dude, how Starfield fell off. And how Helldivers 2 is just doing so well.
1,500 planets.
We are gonna watch the finals of Tekken 8, guys, but they're doing commercials and they're setting up the players and all that stuff. So.
AAA games have exploded in size, scope, and cost to an
Hey, Shadow.
unprecedented level. On one hand, a larger team has the potential to create something truly incredible, revolutionary, to realize their greatest ambitions. But this relies on having a cohesive vision amongst many people and the
Wasted
budget
Sunday?
and
Why?
resources to make it happen. However, the more ambitious a project, the more money invested into it, the riskier it becomes. Immortals of Avium,
Oh,
a game you
Slap. Oh, it's
probably
not
never
bad.
heard of,
Slap is
was the
good,
debut
honestly.
title for Ascendant Studios. And for some inexplicable reason, the game was given a budget of $125 million, smackaroos, making it one of the most expensive video games ever made. What?
That was $125 million for a new franchise? Unless I'm tripping, I never heard about this. Immortals of Evium? Have you guys ever heard of it? I never heard of this. Why would you give so much money for something that's a new series? You rarely give that much money, but I believe Cyberpunk 2077 was like a board game or something, right? Before they make it into a full game or something. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. I don't know. That's just weird. $125 million.
What the fuck? Immortals sold poorly, and Ascendant, after releasing their first title, had to lay off almost half of their staff.
45%.
6 months later, the remaining employees were furloughed, a fancy word for maybe you have a job, IDK? And the company's future is uncertain. Sometimes memes can spit truth. I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less, and I'm not kidding. Immortals of Avium is a mistake that shouldn't have happened, and it's the exact type of reason why AAA publishers are sticking with familiar IPs and playing it safe. You guys excited for Call of Duty 26 to come out later this year?
Oh my god.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. But why was Immortals, this random game, bloated with such a ridiculous budget and high expectations?
Yeah, I'm so confused by that.
COVID-19 changed a lot of things. People bought a shitload of video games during that time.
Right.
And some upper management folk adjusted their business. They saw this as an opportunity to invest. So they expanded operations, hired more employees, but of course, the video game sales caused by the pandemic didn't last. And we're now seeing the fallout of that overexpansion. Fallout New
the game wasn't that bad, but it was not aimed honestly. What do you mean by that? Why was the game not aimed honestly? Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't understand why would they get that much budget for a new franchise. I mean, companies shouldn't be doing that. I know they've done before, right? But like they shouldn't be doing it because you don't know if the franchise is gonna people end up liking it or not. Also, it's not that crazy to like so add good content, good gaming, and long like a long like a long play kind of thing. But I don't know. It just feels weird. I don't understand, especially with EA. Come on, bro.
Vegas. 10,000 layoffs in 2023 and 8,000 more on the way. Over 30 studios were shut down. Several games canceled.
30
The hubris
studios?
from corporate
What they're damn, dude. Yeah, there's been a lot of layoffs this year too. Like in the beginning of the year, there's been a lot of layoffs. Damn, dude, that's insane. Because it lacks you eatness. That is the problem, man. It's like I think like a lot of companies nowadays are just trying to make a generic game just to make generic money. You know what I mean? Like where just add like there's nothing unique about it. Just keep adding like whatever content, and they just want a cash grab. All right, that's what they want. Like this, like it's the same thing. We keep going back with like Suicide Squad. It was just a cash grab. It felt miserably. It was just a cash grab.
The hubris from corporate overlords has uprooted this industry in such terrible ways. Overloading teams with talented employees and a shit zillion dollars isn't some magical recipe for success.
No.
In fact, it puts the studio in a much more dire, stressful position, because if the game doesn't sell well,
You're fucked.
they're fucked.
Yeah.
Blockbuster game development costs are out of control. According to a study by the CMA, a single AAA game could have development costs between $90 to $180 million,
Damn.
plus $50 to $150 million for marketing. That Suicide Squad game that 200 people are playing?
Bro. Maybe we'll start playing that game, but hey, that's their choice. That's not a bad thing, experimenting, but it should be planned 100%. It looks more like an Unreal Engine demo than a game. Damn, dude. And in the budget was $125 million too, by the way, Luco. That is insane.
Probably had an inflated budget. This is clearly unsustainable. It's like every major AAA game is some massive live or die gamble. Naturally, companies want to mitigate and avoid all the risk they can. So, again, they rely on established IPs and stick with what's familiar, and most of all, safe.
Oh
So
my
wait a minute,
God.
Hackman. You're telling me AAA games have become a greater risk, but also safer?
That's a paradox, John.
Think about it this
This is
way.
still dumb.
The bigger the budget, the more employees working on a game, the more copies it needs to sell. Therefore, it has to appeal to a lower common denominator. They have to simplify and dumb down something. They cannot take risks or experiment. They have to
Which is
stick
not a good
with
thing,
what has
honestly.
proven to work. This is a huge reason why indie games such as Helldivers 2, Hades, Lethal Company are so much better at
Bro, Lethal Company was one developer, and guess what? It made so much money now. They're actually now there's two developers for the game now. And look how good they're doing. Because like at the end of the day, graphics do help the game. Not obviously, right? But at the end of the day, the gameplay is I feel like is more important where it will help the game last a lot longer. Yeah, I watched it a long time. I like Japanese studios because of the new innovations they do. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why like Nintendo, I know how many people hate Nintendo, but I think this is why Nintendo are always liked and loved for the most part because they always experiment with their stuff. Whether it's a console or a video game, they always add a new gimmick with their games. It's never the same thing over and over. You know what I mean? They have the same kind of formula because like don't break what isn't broken kind of thing. But at least they add a new gimmick, right? And I'll say like for example, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, they added a new gimmick to the game. you know. And in the Switch, they made a handheld with a console, right? I think that's why Nintendo is always beloved. Like not always. I don't mean like always, but I think that's a lot of people do respect Nintendo over a lot of other companies because they do try new stuff out. Japanese games doesn't have the most realistic graphics, but the gameplay is like groundbreaking. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it's in there with indie, you know.
Innovating on a popular formula or giving us something brand new? Which would you rather play, Back for Blood or Deep Rock Galactic? I better see some fucking rock and stone in the comments. But that's the thing, Back for Blood is a cheap imitation of what inspired it, while Deep Rock Galactic is a unique twist on the whole four dumbasses trying to accomplish something co-op game. Deep Rock is brimming with charm, style, and this is gonna sound cheesy as fuck, but you can feel the love that went into it. I can't say the same with Back for Blood. What are some other examples that illustrate?
It's so crazy. People were excited for Back for Blood. Even I was, because it was supposed to be like not a sequel, but they were trying to find a formula with Left 4 Dead, right? And here's the weirdest thing ever. Left 4 Dead, they already have like a good formula to make the game successful. So I do not know why Back for Blood did not follow the formula that was already successful and adding some like new unique stuff to it. You know? Capcom? Oh, same here. One of my favorites, Capcom too, as well. Yeah, same here.
Illustrate how games have gotten safe. Well, let me ask you this. Did you think for 1 millisecond that the Modern Warfare 3
Left 4 Dead zombies were shit? None of them bite? Yeah, they didn't? Yeah. I remember it was a bunch of I remember there was different forms of zombie. An exploding one, a Hulk one, a regular zombie one, a crawler one with a tongue. And stomp you out. Oh. Well, that doesn't mean it was shit. I mean, that was fun. Let's be honest.
The no Russian scene justice. Did you think it was gonna be as shocking?
But they don't buy shut up.
No!
You terrorist.
No!
You look like one.
What?
Woo! Oh, give the writers a raise. Of course.
What?
Like even Call of Duty feels like it's been sterilized, but of course there's some exceptions.
Yeah, Call of Duty sucks. I mean, the story mode sucks.
With like Cold War. I mean, that game took some serious risks with its campaign and story, and it paid off. Gamers love being surprised. We love being thrown for a loop because it's so hard to do now in the age of the internet and with all these leaks and everything. This is why Helldivers 2's live service is retaining so many players, because there haven't been any roadmaps going into excruciating detail about what to expect. It's why the redemption of No Man's Sky hit so hard, because Sean and Hello Games just went into hibernation and came out when they had something to show people.
Actual content.
When I say safe,
yeah.
I'm not just talking about the lack of innovation with
I mean people hated No Man's Sky for a while, but at least they didn't give up on it. And it's one of the most successful games ever. And then like I think like I'm telling you, man, if people just get more time to work on the game and like actually work on it instead of focusing on like making money, like obviously you gotta make money, obviously, don't get me wrong. But if they literally just let them focus on the game and the content and make it fun instead of focusing on making money, like monetizing it, right? With a bunch of bullshit stuff. I'm telling you, in the longer run, you will make that money and a lot more in profit because people can still buying the game to this day. And look at No Man's Sky is a perfect example. It was one of the most hated games for a while. They didn't give up on it and they worked on it. Same thing with Cyberpunk 2077. It was one of the worst released games of all time, but they did not give up on it and they released an update for it. And people are saying it's one of the best games ever now. They should have made a COD BO4 Blackout free to play. It would. Oh yeah, If they make multiplayer game for like Call of Duty free nowadays and just work on cosmetics, they'll make a lot of money, just like Valorant and all that kind of stuff. Because have you seen the cosmetics on Valorant? It's insane, dude.
Game design, but also the writing. AAA franchises that used to go really hard with the dialogue now feel tame, like they're pulling punches. I'm not a huge expert on Fallout, so Fallout fans, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But there is a massive difference between Bethesda's Fallout games and the other Fallout games. In New Vegas, you can literally
100%.
sell drugs to children. Like that's a real choice you have in the game. You can be an absolute
I did not know that.
maniac. You can shake down.
Oh, wait, by the way, the Fallout show did their job. By the way, the Fallout show got people playing the game. It's literally one of the top playing games like for a little bit on Xbox, and I believe people buy it on Steam and stuff and Epic and all that. The show did its job and got people to play the game.
Down a guy for caps and he'll
Or
say,
games,
well,
I'd
you've
say.
taken everything but the clothes off my back. And then you can say, actually, give me your fucking clothes too. You know what I mean? Like, for some reason, I just can't picture these types of things being in a new Fallout game. KOTOR 2 is also a fantastic example because I doubt we'll ever see a Star Wars game that takes the franchise in such a bold direction. KOTOR 2 is a Star Wars game where the main villain wants to kill the Force, destroy the Force, like remove it from the universe.
Oh, so it's like kind of like what is it, the Flash and the Speed Force? Kill the Speed Force. Okay.
Destroy the concept of Sith and Jedi completely. There's no way in no
That's
should
cool.
we'd ever witness a Star Wars game that delves into that sort of thing.
Bro, that is a very cool concept, honestly. Damn. That's actually a very cool concept. A guy who's neither good or bad wants to get rid of pretty much Jedi altogether and Sith altogether. Completely destroy all of it. I think that's what like Korra, the Avatar show, the season 1 was a good show until the ending was kind of weird. But it was a good thing. It was like they just want to get rid of all benders, bad or good. It's a cool concept. Let's be honest. It's a good concept. Yeah, Skyrim Fallout New Vegas is damn complicated. Yeah, I heard.
According to Obsidian, Chris Avalon, one of the main writers for New Vegas and KOTOR 2, Obsidian made multiple proposals to develop spin-offs for Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, all of which were turned down by Bethesda. And while we can only imagine the reason why, perhaps it was too risky in their eyes. Here's another example, Halo Wars 2. Console RTS, pretty niche, but its expansion, Awakening the Nightmare, was the first time in a decade we saw the Flood in a Halo game. Why haven't the Flood appeared in the main series? Don't want to risk lowering the sales with an M rating, right? M-rated games don't sell too great, do they?
Grand Theft Auto 5 and Dead, yeah.
Speaking of Rockstar, God, this industry pisses me off sometimes. LA Noire 2, where is it? Bully 2? And you might think, well, isn't that hip?
You know what's crazy? LA Noire, they released like a remastered version of that game, right? I think I own it. I gotta play it on stream someday. And I think it did very well. So I wonder why they never released a sequel to it.
The critical act, man, you were just complaining about these companies sticking to established IPs. But both of these franchises only have one game. And that's kind of my point. Instead of making one, $400 million game, why not cut a chunk of that out and develop multiple AA games?
What if they took one of these $150 million AAA budgets and made a couple of $20 million bets with them, right? And just funded a bunch of projects, and the risk is much smaller.
Yeah, and see which one will be successful and what people like more. That's actually very smart. You have more chances you have to make a brand new franchise that would really hit with the people and make a lot more money.
And I think
and
that
grow
would be
beyond that.
Very good for the industry. And I wish AAA would take more risks like that with smaller teams. Then you would get that cohesion. You would get that sort of singular vision, I think, and stronger creativity out of it.
I at least understand this for Rockstar because their games are so overhyped. If they released a sequel that you thought was a 9 out of 10, that would feel disappointing. A bunch of Halo spin-offs were also pitched to leadership at 343, including an ODST-themed game similar to Helldivers 2. Imagine what could have been.
Wow,
I guess I just don't understand why the corporate side of game development treats every title like it has to be an all-in bet. Do you see what I'm getting at? So many of our favorite franchises that we grew to love because of how bold they were are now playing it safe. And that's why indie and AA gaming is thriving right now, because they can take risks. They're not obsessing over how many people are going to buy the game. The developers of Palworld were like, well, I hope this does.
I'm tired of playing established IPs, to be honest. I could understand how people are getting fatigued of But I honestly like the problem is I don't think the problem is the IPs. I think the problem is them being too safe with their IPs now. They're not taking risks with their IPs. Look at Halo OST, right? Was it ODST or OST? One of those two. Sorry. That Halo game, people love that game, right? And it was a risk at that point. Had nothing to do really with Master Chief, and people loved it. I loved it. I remember playing it, and it was a really really fun game. It was it was a cool concept. It was a cool story, and it was really fun. It was like a good like experimental too. The multiplayer, yeah, it was BS. But I'm talking about like story wise. Like people loved it in general, like story wise, like the campaign of that game. For the most part, people loved it. And so like yeah, I like if they take more risks with their IPs, I think people would not be tired of the playing their IPs like Call of Duty or Halo or anything like that. If they don't take any more risks on it, right? Like Fallout 70, like I don't know, is Fallout taking bigger risks on their IP lately? Like I believe it was 76, and that was a complete failure of what it was supposed to be. I don't know.
Doesn't make us go bankrupt. Indie studios are operating at the level that AAA used to. And when you don't have to make hundreds of millions of dollars to keep your company afloat and not fire your entire studio, you can take risks. And going back to my initial comparison between Arrowhead and Ubisoft, there's a huge difference in the mission statements of AAA and indie games. Baldur's Gate 3 is an indie game. Larian is an independent studio, but the quality is so amazing, you'd assume
there's so much content in that game, it's insane.
There's this trend of indie developers reassuring customers that they're not going to nickel and dime us. No, there are no in-game purchases in our game. We believe in providing a complete and immersive gaming experience without the need for additional purchases. Vermintide 2 is one of the only games to do loot boxes right, because they didn't sell them. At the height of the loot box craze, no less. Helldivers 2 doesn't let you pay for tiers in the freedom passes. Indie developers can afford to be more player friendly because they don't have these investors hanging over their heads and these massive budgets. You might think all these egregious microtransactions is just pure corporate greed, and there's a good chance some of it is, but it's also a safeguard, like a necessity. And I think the solution is just to make games smaller, dude. Now, a really shitty byproduct of...
Yeah, I think that's like, yeah, I mean, like, people were saying, like, that's like the... I think that was... I think that's like the problem with video games now. It's like, we got to go bigger. And I think, yeah, I think that is a problem, right? Like, you don't have to go big. You just have to become more innovative with your games. And that will be big in a way, right? Yeah, I love the BNG campaign. It was awesome playthrough. Yeah, so it's like, I'm just saying, like, you don't have to go bigger with your games, like map wise, fully. You just have to like be more innovative and take more risks on that end. Than like, because think about Starfield, right? Imagine they made the game smaller, right? But put more content within the game, right? With like with the world, with the maps and stuff like that, graphics, dialogue and stuff like that. It won't be stretched out too thin, kind of thing. I think it would have been way more successful, like success, because they could easily have done DLC worlds easily. They plan to do that many worlds. They could have easily just done what do you call it? Release a like DLC for that. Like, hey, this is a new world coming in, kind of thing, you know?
This risk-averse mentality is that a lot of these publishers are looking for a quick buck. They want to make easy money. So what do? Bingo! Flood the market with shitty remasters. Boy, there's been an abundance of these lately. The Last of Us 1 on PC, GTA Trilogy.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Oh my god.
Hell,
Oh my god.
Dark Souls Remastered sucked major ass. And don't even get me started on the fucking Battlefront collection. Did you know that at one point Warcraft 3 Reforged had like 3 people working on it? Like one guy was supposed to remake all of the cutscenes. And this is so perplexing.
Really?
These studios dump 10 figures into a new game, but can't even hire 10 people to make a decent remaster. It's like there's no middle ground. It's either no budget or dump the bank account. Meanwhile, Lethal
make
Company,
sense.
made by one guy. Now, because
Yeah.
studios are
Yeah, and Little Company now has 2 developers now, and it's successful. It's a good game. I've seen people play a lot of it, Go Video Games recently, and they added a lot of good content, and they're adding new maps, and he's like exploring more of that.
are investing so much, they tend to interfere with the creative process to insane degrees. They see trends that are making money elsewhere, and they think, well, let's just throw that into our
Oh, yeah,
game.
like Fortnite,
I'm
yeah.
funding this. What I say goes. Redfall lost 70% of its arcane staff during development, struggled the whole way. Development of Redfall began in 2018 as parent ZeniMax was quietly looking to sell itself and was encouraging its studios to create games as a service projects like Overwatch.
Oh my God.
Microtransactions were intensely encouraged. However, the problems in trying to develop Redfall surfaced early. Firstly, management kept offering conflicting visions of what the game would and should be, resulting in developer confusion about what they were creating.
Oh my
How
God.
to reconcile single player and multiplayer within an arcane game was never really resolved either. Secondly, Arcane employed fewer than 100 people, which had been enough to make a single-player game, but was not a healthy number for developing a large multiplayer game with microtransactions to manage. Outsourcing work to other studios was reportedly not enough to alleviate the strain. As a result of plummeting
Fortnite did all the things to be a good free-to-play game. Yeah, it did, 100%. Right? They also took risks with their game too. You know? Fortnite, I know people like make fun of Fortnite. I know my camera went down. God damn it. I know people like make fun of Fortnite, but Fortnite is a good example of like them taking a lot of chances with the game, with their campaign modes, changing up the maps, like balancing with the guns and stuff, and even adding like a Lego mode of all things too as well. Like what the hell? And it was successful. People loved playing it. And they had like a story mode campaign for a little bit. I don't know if they're doing it or not. And then the skins. People love the skins. It was really fun. And like people are enjoying it right now with invisible skins and all that. Why is it not focusing? You know what I mean?
morale and lack of direction, veteran employees left the company in droves, with about 70% of the staff ultimately leaving Arcane. Redfall is not the only story of its kind. You can look at most AAA flops or AAA games that severely disappointed, and you'll find something similar. Management interfered. Management wanted this. I imagine they feel they have to micromanage these things, again because of the investment. Sometimes with AAA games, it feels like there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and Gordon Ramsay is pissed.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
There's got to be a happy middle ground in dev team size. Too small and you feel like the world rests on your shoulders. Too big and you feel like you have zero agency and influence. These big dev teams, especially when they're spread out against multiple studios across the country, can sometimes have very inefficient communication, bureaucracy. Next, Battlefield has the largest development team so far. 1 year later, former DICE dev says 2042 never stood much chance being great at launch. There's a video by Timothy Kane, the creator of the original Fallout, about game development caution. And he talks about how certain things in game development now that could be fixed in 45 minutes now take 4 weeks.
When we were making the Outer Worlds, the
Wait, what?
combat AI wasn't really in yet, so I asked for a very simple combat aggression code to be added. This is how simple it was. Every time an NPC got shot, they would see if that person was on the list of someone who'd shot them. If they weren't, they'd add them to the list with the amount of damage they just took. If they were already on the list, they'd just add the amount of damage they took. Whenever they're deciding who to attack, they attack the person at the top of the list. That's it. That's all I wanted. The programmer who it got signed to came to me and said, I need 4 weeks. And I'm like, why? Walk me through what you're going to do. And he goes, you don't understand. And I was like, I've coded this 3 times. Walk me through it. And he wouldn't. He left. He left angry.
What?
Lead programmer came back, started yelling at me, saying,
What?
If he says he needs 4 weeks, he needs 4 weeks. And I'm like, then I will do it. I'll have it done before lunch. And he said, no, because then people will have to support your code. I'm like, I'm going to walk you through what I want. And you tell me why this takes 4 weeks. He looked at what I wrote, which was about 10 lines of pseudocode on a whiteboard. And he goes, I'll come back. He came back about an hour later and said, "What about 2 weeks?" And I said, "Do I have any options here?"
What?
Fine. 2 weeks.
You want to fix these lines of code? That decision has to go through 10 fucking.
That is effing insane, dude. No wonder. Oh, bro, it's like I think. What are these guys lazy or what? Like what the
departments
fudge?
now. It needs to be approved by your manager, by your manager's manager. It has to go through the marketing team, the DEI office. The fucking janitor's cousin has to approve it. Indie developers don't have the same level of bureaucracy.
That's
I
insane.
imagine if there's a problem with the code,
job
you could just
security?
walk over to the cubicle of Jimbo and ask him about it without the fucking HR.
But that's stupid. If the game is like not as good because you're wasting so much time, then the job is gonna be gone. Look how many jobs have been lost already in the game industry. That's so much potential to be a AAA story game. Really?
department breathing down your neck. Then you also have to make games that can be released in China. You need that China money. It has to hit certain quotas and scores on diversity, equity, and inclusion to secure funding. And the game needs to have microtransactions for this consistent revenue source, a live service business model, so that makes the investors happy. And can you see how creativity dies in this environment when games are made by committee and not creativity? It also seems like the more employees a company has, the easier it is for you to blend in and not be seen or heard. Indie studios typically have better working conditions with flexible hours. Employees have more creative control. Smaller teams allow the individual to have more influence
Let's finish this video.
on a game and a greater impact. I've seen a lot of articles from ex-developers who say, this game wasn't what we intended to make. It wasn't what we envisioned. Disagreements are going to spring up in game development, but it's easier to settle an argument between two people than it is 100. At the end of the day, indie gaming has risen where AAA has fallen. The decline of AAA gaming is due to the insane budgets, scope, and expectations of these games. How that affects the employees, the work environment, the investors and higher-ups who have to constantly micromanage these games and throw in their own ideas when they have no fucking clue what makes a good video game. I feel like a lot of these developers simply don't have the same luxuries and freedom to create art like they used to. Game development in the AAA space is now a committee process where simple solutions to bugs can take weeks, where the freedom to express and create art
so
and take
dumb,
risks
dude.
is suppressed in favor of creating the generic and the safe. Too many external factors have disrupted what used to be a creative process with the singular goal of making the best and most fun video game possible. It ain't about that no more. This shit has to make money, and a lot of it. And it's for all these reasons that AAA gaming is declining, and why indie titles are thriving. But what do you think? What are some of your favorite indie games? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to join my public Discord.
Hades 2. It's one of my favorite ones. I mean Hades. It's one of my recent favorite ones. Is that just thing that people had to get completely burnt 11 years in a row just to actually realize there is a huge fire going on? People still got a pass since they created a quadruple game nowadays. So now the movie industry is paralleling the video game industry during the same period. Big budget, lots of greed, zero inspiration. Arrowhead Games needs to be a reference point we judge companies from now on, because they aren't doing anything that's crazy. They're doing it ethical and chill. Greed is the reason why modern gaming isn't fun anymore. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like you gotta be very like specific with certain games nowadays, to be honest. Star Wars All Out page has so many pre-order buttons on it. It's great that it took Skull and Bones, what people call his first quadruple game, took 11 effing years. Your ship has the effing stamina bar on it. Incredible. Yeah, dude. Like, I don't understand the mentality of like job security for making a simple bug to take 4 weeks instead of like a day. Right? I like, oh, because I won't be able to work anymore, bro. If the game is dog shit, well, you ain't gonna work at all no more. If the game is good, you get more time to add like work on DLC and everything, like, and have way more like longevity of the game, and a longevity of your job. Like, what the hell? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense with like developers like that, dude. Like, what? Or quarters, whatever you want to call it. It's like weird. But yeah, this is sad how AAA games are nowadays. But good video. Good video overall. Yeah, it looks like I'm drawing frames again. God damn it. All right, I'm gonna end it here. The video.